Hello, welcome to the second part of the episode 2. In this, we are going to learn yet another intermediate level function called as if function. In the first part of the second episode, we learned the count and its family member functions. And here we're going to see the if function. So if is a function used to check a logical conditions. A logical condition could result in either a true or a false. So the test what we are doing, we are going to check a logical condition. The result of the test could be either the condition being true or the condition being false. So what we need to write, what we need to do when we write the if function is, we need to instruct Excel if the condition is false, what it should do. If the condition is true, what it should do. So this is how we give the formula for if function. So when I type the formula, you will understand how it works. So in this data sheet, you have the sales employees details, and they have achieved a number of sales in 3 products, product 1, product 2 and product 3. The total sales has been computed. What we are going to find out is, we are going to keep a target of say 30 units. So we are going to find out whether the employees have achieved the target or not based on one particular condition which we are going to check. The condition is, we are going to compare the actual performance by the employees with the set target for every product, and we are going to find out at product level, at each product level, whether that particular employee, whether he has achieved the target or not. So say for example, if you take the product 1 for the first employee, and you take this value 20, you compare it with 30. So what is the condition? Whether this particular value, whether 20 is greater than 30. That is a condition which we are going to check. If that is greater than or even equal to, we can say, if it is greater than or equal to 30, it is true that he has achieved. But if it is less than 30, is not achieved. So in this case, if you are going to say that the value in the cell C2, whether if you want to check whether C2 is less than or equal to 30, in this case Excel would find out that this is false because 20 is less than 30. So if it is false, Excel should conclude this employee is not achieved under product 1 over here. Same if you take the 8th employee Geeta, and over here if we have to test the same condition, here Excel will give it true because 41 is greater than and equal to 30. So if it is true, Excel should conclude it is achieved. Okay. So the logical test is, pick the actual performance, compare it with the target and conclude whether it is true or false. If it is true, what Excel should conclude? It should conclude as achieved. If it is false, Excel should conclude it as not achieved. Okay, so that's how we do it. So you can do it either way, whether you can take it greater than or equal to 30, or you can say whether you can test the other way also, whether it is less than 30. That way also we could do. So here I'm going to test. I'll start with the if function. So if function, we need to give 3 inputs. One is the logical test, and we need to give, if the value is true, what should Excel conclude? If the value is false, what Excel should conclude? So I'm going to say that this particular cell, we are not going to give the values directly because we are going to use the cell address so that we can easily copy paste the formula. So if C4 greater than or equal to 30, this is one way of testing, or I could say C4 is less than 30. I could check the negative result also, I could check. In this case, I prefer to go with if C4 greater than equal to 30. So if C4 means that product sales of product 1, if it is greater than 30, so this condition being true, it means Excel should conclude that is achieved. So we'll use the abbreviation A. But if this condition is false, Excel should conclude it to be not achieved. We'll use the abbreviation N. And you would observe here, when I entered the text A and N, I'm using the double quotes. So always remember, in Excel, in most of the cases, when you enter a text inside the formula, we should use the double quotes. So in the if function, we need to have 3 inputs. The first input is the logical test, which in this case is the sales of that product 1, which is in the cell C4. greater than or equal to the target, which is 30. If this test is true, then the second input comes. So before we give the second input, we should give a comma. And the second input is the text. The value what we are going to give is the text. So we use the double quotes. If it is a numerical value, we don't have to give the quotes. So here we have to give the double quotes. And then the third input, again we are using a comma. What if this logical test is false? What should Excel conclude? That is given as a third input over here. And then I give the enter. So now here in this case, it is shown it is less than 30, so it is concluded the test not achieved, n. So I'll just copy paste the formula, and you could see here up to cell C8, C7, it is all not achieved, so we have got n. From cell C8 onwards, it's all achieved, so we have got A. So same way, instead of typing it, because everywhere it is the same numeric value, which is the logical test, and the target remains the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy and click and drag, so that because we are using only one place, we are using the cell reference. So from C4 now it has become D4 in the column H. The column I, it had become E4. So same way I can just copy paste to the rows as well. So that now for all the three products, because the target is the same, I just copy pasted. The condition is the same. So I just copy pasted the formula. So now we have the conclusion at product level. At each product level, whether the target has been achieved or not achieved has been concluded. But now in the overall achievement, we are going to test three conditions, because the overall condition, how I am going to conclude is, if the sales executive achieves product 1, achieves product 2 targets, achieves product 3 targets, only then overall he can be concluded as achieved. Even if in any one of the product category, if he doesn't achieve sales target, it means we are going to conclude overall he is not achieved. So the condition is very clear. If the sales executive has achieved in all the three products target, only then we will conclude as overall he has achieved all the targets in across all products. So that's what we are going to do. So we are going to test three conditions. In the earlier cases, we just tested only one condition, and then we concluded whether it is true or false. Based on that, we concluded. But here we have three conditions to be checked simultaneously, and based on the results of all the three tests, we are going to make an overall conclusion. So in this case, what we are going to do is, because we need to test three conditions, we are going to use the if statement 3 times in the same formula. So we call it as a nested if. So condition after condition after condition, we are going to check three conditions in a kind of a nested loop, and then finally we are going to make the decision. Okay, so I'll just show you how to go about this. So we'll start with equal to if. Okay, so that we are not going to take the numbers now. We are going to use the text over here, because we have used the alphabets here, N and A. So we are going to check whether this cell G4, whether this is equal to N. Can I give it like this, N without quotation mark? No, N is a text. So we should use a quotation mark, double quotation. We should give the text, which is N over here. So if G4 is equal to N, means in one of the product, if the sales executive doesn't achieve the target, means we need to conclude him as overall not achieved. That's so simple, right? So we are just testing it for the negativity, whether G4 is equal to N. If it has not achieved product 1, so if this logical test is true, what should be the conclusion? We need to conclude it as not achieved. Okay, and then after the first input, we should give the comma. Second input, we should give the comma. Now, logical test is G4 is equal to N. Now, if this is true, because N means not achieved, so we're going to conclude not achieved, overall also not achieved. But what if this condition is false? If it is false, means what? The executive has achieved his target in product 1. If he has achieved the target in product 1, then we need to check the product 2, whether he has achieved product 2 or not. Okay, so for the false, instead of giving a value, what we are going to do is we are going to use the if function again, because we need to test the second condition. Okay, so we are going to test the second condition. So if it is true, straight away we conclude not achieved. we don't have to check the second and third product, because even if in one product, if the executive doesn't achieve the target, overall is not achieved. So we are not going to check the second and third, we are going to directly conclude not achieved. But if in case in the product 1, if he has achieved, then we need to pick the second product and check whether he has achieved second product target or not. So here second product target is here H4, whether H4 is equal to N. If H4 is equal to N, if in the second product is not achieved, then if this is true, then again we are going to conclude it is not achieved. Means there could be a situation where executive has achieved product 1, so we are testing second product. In the second product, if it is not achieved, straight away we can conclude not achieved, because third we don't have to test. If the second product is also the condition is false, it means he has achieved first product, he has also achieved the target of the second product, it means we need to test the third product. So once you have a testing, we need to introduce the if function. So if function for the third product is at I4, if it is equal to N, if this condition is true, then we need to conclude it as not achieved. If this thing is false, it means first product achieved, second product achieved. That's why we are going to test the third product. If here is also the test is false, it means overall he has achieved all the products. And remember here we are using 3 if function, so we have used 3 brackets. For the first if, before G4 I used a bracket. For the second if, before H4 I used a bracket. For the third if, before I4 I used the bracket. So when I end the function, I need to close the bracket thrice so that the formula is complete, and I need to press the enter button. So in this case I have got it as not achieved. Why? Because the first product itself the executive has not achieved, so directly Excel would have concluded it as not achieved. Whereas if you go to the employee 1005, he has achieved product 1. So what Excel would have done is it has gone to the second if and tested this cell H8, and it would have tested. Now here also he is achieved, and then it would have gone to the third cell which is I8, and here it is not achieved, so it will conclude it as not achieved. Whereas for the 6th employee, it would have checked all 3, where the third time also the condition would have got false, and overall it would have concluded it as achieved. So we'll just copy and paste the formula. Now you can see here for the employee 6 and 7, only those employees have achieved, because for every product they have achieved. That's why Excel has concluded it as achieved for the last one. So this way we could use a number of if inside if to test multiple conditions, and we can make a decision. Okay, so this is a very important function which we need to know. Whenever many times in the organization when we work with data, we want to find out using now here I have only 12 data points, so 12 or 10 data points is easy, even with your naked eye you can conclude. But if you have a huge database of say thousands and 10,000s and lakhs of rows, this is going to be a tedious process. We can do it manually. So if you know this function, quickly we can conclude and we can find out. So this is a very important function. I hope you understood how to use the if function to test a condition and then to make a decision. Please join me for the next part of the episode 2. We are going to learn more and more important functions. Thank you. Bye bye.